Okay, so welcome to the Node.js Next 10 team meeting for August 7th, 2024. We'll follow our agenda. Well, I guess we had a discussion before. We're going to jump in. Instead of following the agenda, we are going to jump into continuing the review of the survey results. We did have a brief discussion of a couple of the issues, and in terms of the Next 10 funding deep dive, Jean's going to submit a section to cover that at the next collaborator summit. And similarly, for building a sustainable and healthy collaborator base, Marco's going to submit a session for that one. So that I think is good way to move those two forward. And having said that, I'll just ask, are there any announcements people want to share? Okay, if there's no announcements, then let's dive back into the review of the results. And I think, Marco, you were going to share the screen and we can keep on going.
Yes. So, okay. So, can you all see the screen?
Yep.
Okay.
Great timing
So
for
we
the question in the
were.
slide script.
Which questions were?
So
I think.
I don't remember we went to the technical priorities last time. So it
Yeah,
was
I
definitely
agree.
before. So I'm guessing it was a slide just before.
I will go back one. Which version
I think
manager?
I remember we were discussing about Yarn v1,
Yarn.
Yeah,
V2,
okay. I think
and we
that you're
both,
right. That's about where we are, where I
yeah, and
think.
we all discovered there was a Yarn v4 that was released a few months ago. So
Right. Yep,
Yes.
that sounds about right.
Okay. So let me also grab the list of other. Okay. Okay, so I think we can start from Q12. So for Q12, we have which version manager do you use? So most of the people answered NVM, 56%, which I think like 56% is a lot, and like I expected it because NVM is very popular. I personally use it, so. But then we have 22% that does not use a version manager, which is also a lot.
I wonder if there's like, to me, I could guess two things from that. One is maybe like people who do deployments in production. You wouldn't necessarily use NVM to like manage your node version there. So if people were more on the ops side, that could make sense. I guess also if you're using containers, you're not going to use a manager either.
Yeah, that's true. So I think version manager is more for development rather than production.
Yeah.
And like nobody uses a version manager, like unless it's a server like manually managed, then probably could be possible. But yeah, probably we should specify like during development.
Yeah.
Because in production probably doesn't make sense, and it could remove the confusion that someone may have.
There's still people like me. I just download the binaries and add it to my path. It's because
Okay.
I might want to run with one in one case, one in the other. So yeah, I just always and I'll have my own little script that's like set 20, set 18, whatever, or set, if you compiled your own, you want to run your own. But anyway, I'm sure that's a small percentage.
And then we have other. Sorry, Jean.
No, I was going to ask what were the other as an answer.
Yeah, we have N at 5%. We have FNM at 6%.
I think more like in the write-ins though, right? There's that other at 3.3%.
Yep.
Let me read them. So this is Q12. We have which version manager do you use? We have PNPM, PNPM-env, PNPM. We have Proto, Scoop, Snap, VFox, and WinGet. So apparently PNPM does also node version management. I was not aware of it, but there are like enough answers. Wait, how many?
The one Snap is kind of interesting because like there are other ones which are like, you know, DNF apt, like all the OET, the Linux package managers, they will help you like manage your node version too sometimes.
There is something odd because it says 99, but if you go in the list, it's like not even 20 answers.
Yeah, did we might have like, you know, deleted some though, just down to the unique answers, did we? Maybe not. I don't think so. Yeah, that is odd.
Unless we did it during the like like when we filtered the results. But yeah, that's a bit odd.
Okay. But I guess no big surprises there in terms of, I mean, there still are, I mean, it's still like 28% is other things, like other, so 50% is a big percentage, but like 28's a non-trivial percentage of people using other ones as well.
Yeah. All right. So like I think like the conclusion on this one is that like NVM stays as one of the like most used tooling, but
Yeah.
still there are like other emerging competitors of NVM that people use, but they don't have that. Like there isn't one that has the like it's much stronger than the other ones.
So what would be interesting, I'm just going to see if I can pull up the survey from last year.
Just I'm thinking about that. Do we want next year to add a question about what is your main version of Node.js that you are using? Because we have a number based on, I guess, download and stuff like that. But I think it would be interesting to see which version of Node.js people are using. And
The problem with that is that the amount of people that answer is very small compared to the whole Node user base. So
true.
like that would be, and also I think that like people who still run very old versions are not uh, like they are just like servers that are still running and haven't been touched in a while. So I assume, yeah.
Yeah, and
That
really
question would also.
adding, we would need to split the question between development environment and production. That's true.
It's interesting, last year we didn't have none, which probably skews the numbers, but NVM was like at 78% or something.
Okay.
Yeah. So I think that would have made a big difference. Like for next year, let's just add the during development, and I think this one is good to go. Okay. Anything else we want to add on this, or should we move to Q13? Okay. So Q13, how do you manage the package manager for your project? So we have at 58%. I use one version installed globally for all my projects. I use a tool. I use a tool to pick a specific version per project, which is Corpac ASDF. I use containers, and we have 0.5% of total. So, like, the thing that strikes me is that 25% said that they use a package manager like Corpac, which is a lot.
Sorry, you
Like
said
I
25% said that?
25%,
Yeah.
yeah, 25% they use a tool like Corpac.
Yeah.
So I also reported this data to the Corpac discussion because I think it's, even though the amount of people, like, it's not huge, but like 25% is still a significant amount of people. So yeah.
I'm wondering, does this match with the answer provided at which package manager are you using?
Yeah, if you go back to that one just for a second.
Which package manager do you
Yep.
use? We have npm, we have yarn, we have pnpm.
So PNPM is using Corpac, or you can use Corpac part of PNPM, and I'm guessing Yarn also. So it
Yarn, yes.
the match is okay, I guess. But it means that everyone that is using PNPM or Yarn is configuring their own version with Corpac each time.
Like, I don't think npm users use Corpac
No, yeah.
because it's not compatible, doesn't work. But like, people who use pnpm and other package managers, I think they do use Corpac. So it's a bit hard to interpret this data. But still 25% is a lot.
It
And I
definitely
did not expect
shows,
it.
people would like something that would manage those things.
Yep.
I think as well, somebody told me yesterday, like the Yarn instructions basically say to install Yarn, first enable Corpac, and then, so it may not be surprising that like people using Yarn end up going down that path.
Let's have a look at other. So Q13, we have, how do you manage the package manager for your project? So we have nvm rc. What? Tools version or nvm rc. Wait, does nvm rc do anything
I
for
suspect
the
that's
package?
just confusion. Like, we're always going to get a few people who don't quite get the question, because I think NVMRC just helps you with MVM, right?
Yeah,
Basically,
As far as I know, NVM won't manage the package managers.
no, yeah.
yeah.
It's just to say, hey, this is a version you should use with NVM and done.
So other answers are all the above. Depends on the project. Someone said dir env. Someone said FNM allows me to use the npm associated with the node specified in the nvmrc file. We have other people that say nvm. Manually, we have someone that says mise, or I don't know what mise is. Nix, not sure, nothing, nvm, pnpm env. Yeah, I think a lot of people were confused on this.
Yeah,
on
unless there was
this.
like, 10 of the same one, then maybe that, like, I think last year we went and said, like, for some of them, hey, oh yeah, we should add those to the list. And but
Yeah, I think this
doesn't
one
seem
should
like
be
any of those are.
rephrased.
Yeah.
Should like can be worded better probably.
Do we want to reverse the question next year, saying to handle the version of your project, are you using core pack? Are you using container with different images or nothing?
Yeah, I think it should be on the lines on how do you manage the versioning of your package manager.
Yeah.
So like you do nothing, you don't care, like you use the npm version that comes out of Node. You do it manually, so you upgrade, like you do npm install, like npm, and then you upgrade it. You use a tool like Corepack, or you use a container, so you do that from a container or other. I have no idea. So like nothing too crazy in terms of like other than having a big Corpac like uh, answer. I expected to like people to say I use containers because a lot of people use containers locally. Others like it's not very significant. Like and like I use one version installed globally for all my project. I think it's still the most common one. Okay. Anything else we want to discuss on this one, or should we move to Q14? Okay. So let's move to Q14. Which of the current technical priorities are important to you? Select all that apply. So we have modern HTTP, number one. Yeah, this is a big one. Even though we don't have I think this is a multi answer, so we don't have the
Yep.
specific numbers for each one. But yeah, modern HTTP, I think it's important. Also, like, should we? Yeah, I think like should we talk about this at the next collab summit? Also, show the like present the results from the survey,
We
I think it
or
depends on
like
how many sessions we can have, but like a summary of the survey results would actually be kind of interesting, I think. Yeah.
Yep.
like we did in Bilbao.
Maybe we don't need to book a 1 hour slot, but maybe even 30-minute first day would be great.
Yeah, just as some like here's some external
Yeah.
feedback. I think one interesting is like everything is above 25% except for WebAssembly. So there's still a fair amount of like the things we have on our list are obviously still important to people. I was just looking versus last year. Last year it was ordered by, it was reordered, so it was a little easier to see, but it still seems support for features.
So here, if you
The
want to
first
compare
top two are the same. ESM, the top
three,
three.
it's three also.
Although we still have better multi-threaded.
Yep. We have it's, I guess, 4 or 5
That
with
one was a little higher last year.
almost the same
Permission,
level as documentation.
security policies is a little lower. Suitable types.
So is it close to last
Yeah.
year?
Yeah, so I don't think there's any massive changes.
Okay.
Yeah,
But it's good validation that, you know, the things in the other, I don't know if we want to, like, what's in the other, or is there anything interesting there?
Let me see. We have a standard library, Android, async await based libraries, better out of the box TypeScript support, better tooling, like better diagnostics, built-in linter, C++ add-ons, CJS, CSM interop, native TypeScript, a lot of TypeScript, performance. But I guess like the next question contains a lot of this.
Right. We kind
A
of
lot
have
of
like the
performance.
suitable types is kind of the, you know, is the generic version of TypeScript.
Yeah, I think like the next what is important to oh yeah, here we have like detailed results. We have 68% wants modern HTTP, 54 supports for latest ECMAScript spec, 51% ESM, then better multi-threaded support, documentation, like
Maybe for
yeah,
next.
I mean like everything that we would have expected.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah, no major surprises there. Like,
yeah. But for next year, do we want to have people that select something to be able to provide which exact part? Because we are saying modern HTTP. I'm guessing most of the people are talking about HTTP 3, but maybe they don't care about HTTP 3 and only want HTTP 2 or specific functionality part of HTTP X something. Like we know based on the core priority, but for example, documentation, 44% are we talking about more detailed documentation, more because the documentation on itself is close to up to date, maybe not perfect everywhere, but pretty good for people that know what they are looking for and specific use case. Is it people that have issue finding a specific function? Are we speaking so how something is working directly in Node, or is it, oh, I want to build a web server and I don't know how to do?
I think that's a good idea. We'd probably have to limit it to a couple questions because like we can't have 15 new questions, but like picking a couple, say the top one, like modern HTTP. Okay, what is it? Like I suspect a lot of people wouldn't even think of HTTP 3.
No, yeah.
Like I would think of like I just want to be like one of the key things I do with Node is HTTP. So does that fetch? Is that, you know, what all, you know, but it, and some people could be HTTP3. So yeah, I think the idea of picking a couple and then saying like, from the things we think are the highest, let's maybe ask for a little more details.
Yeah, because for example, modern HTTP, do you think people would say, hey, I would love to have WebSocket as a default in Node.js?
Right. Like that could be another thing that might fit into there. So
Yeah. So maybe for next year, just following this question or linked to that question, put a one sentence for each choice you choose on what is core for you or
right.
something, I don't know, like it can stay blank if people don't want to answer, but if some people are keen to say, hey, for HTTP to WebSocket, it would give us a bit more information.
Yeah, I agree. We can do this thing where we take the actually there is like the problem is that if something like right now they answer they want better HTTP. Okay. Let's say that during the course of the year until the next year survey we improve it. Then it probably wouldn't make sense to ask, hey, what did you mean with HTTP?
No, that's why I was saying we should include a text area if we can after this question, just to and say, based on your answer or choice of priority choice, what would be the exact use case? For example, if you checked modern HTTP, what part of modern HTTP should we improve?
Is there an easy way to do that? Like
So
from
I'm
a
guessing
survey perspective and connect the answers?
I think it could be as simple as a question that says, based on your answers to the last question, can you highlight specific things in one or two of those sections, like in the section that's most important to you to provide more details or something like that, right? And then it's just it's one of the open-ended questions.
Okay. Yeah, it makes sense. All right. Anything else on this one? Okay, so we can move to Q15. I think it would be better to look at the like percentages rather than the colorful diagram. So we have at 60. Okay, so the question is, what is important to you, and select all. So it's a multiple answer. And I think number one at 60% is consumable API and documentation.
Yeah.
So like improve the documentation, and I think this is being currently done, like on the website. Like they are rewriting all the documentation.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
there's an
making
effort
it,
to improve the infrastructure for sure.
yeah. We also have good understanding of the direction of the project. Okay, this is a bit surprising. Because like usually people don't care about.
It's interesting though that like they want to understand the direction. So that could be like, please, I'd love you to have a roadmap, right? Which we don't
Yeah.
have. But the second one is like,
Yeah.
but we care less about influencing it.
Yep.
We just want to know what it is. It's kind of from these numbers, the way I look at some of them is that like we did a reasonable job of getting responses from people outside of the core project contributors, because like you look at things like, hey, supportive collaborator environment, ways to build consensus in the project, easy contribution workflow. Those are all
Easy,
like at the low end, right? So people who don't care about that are like not contributors directly. They're more likely users. So kind of like in that flavor, it's interesting that yeah, they'd like to know what the direction is, but they don't necessarily need to influence it. Just if there was more like, hey, here's what here's what the plans are, people would like that.
Yeah, I was checking, like reading the value, like on the second part of the value, like ways to fund their work, 7% care about that.
Yeah,
Right.
that's probably
Same supportive
why.
collaborator and environment project, 8%. So, and yeah.
Which is, I mean, it's good that, I mean, this is intended to get a broader view, right? And
Oh
I
yeah,
think,
true.
Marco, what you were talking about is we might do like a survey more targeted at collaborators to get the collaborator base to give us some different answers. But it's almost good that this is this way, because otherwise it would have been like, hey, we're talking to ourselves, right? If it was,
Yeah.
if those were inverted.
But then, for example, the second one, I think in number of value is good understanding of the direction of the project. It could be interesting to, I don't know, because we have the advocate and we want to write article. Do we want to try to have an article that may be co-written or having the feedback of multiple people from the Node.js ecosystem, or at least core collaborators on Node.js, saying how we are taking decision, something a bit more like written as an article for everyone to see.
Yeah, that would, like, I think one of the actions we have to take is once we get some people nominated into the ambassador program is we did say as part of that, we need to put together like what are some of the messages we would like to have shared.
Yeah.
So that would be something I think this group can help push forward is like, okay, let's get some messaging. And that's like potentially, and from the survey, we see that people want a better understanding of the project. Okay.
Yep.
What can we do on that front in terms of helping in terms of messages and stuff?
So I'm seeing
We have.
Sorry, go ahead.
So like obviously the most people who answer the survey are like not collaborators. So like obviously, like they don't care about the supportive collaborators environment or better ways to build consensus in the project. That's always going to be like not interesting. So I wonder if it even makes sense to add those into the list, given that this is
I think,
important if you're a collaborator.
right. Like this is, I think, directly from our list of stakeholders, right?
Yeah.
We could, like, I think if we wanted to filter that, we would want to say this survey is targeting this subset of stakeholders. Therefore, we've removed, say, the needs of the stakeholders. Like that would make sense versus just like randomly pulling some out. We could look at that table and say, well, we're only really targeting these classes of stakeholders, which doesn't include blah, blah, and blah. So then we filtered out these things, right?
So I was also thinking, like reading everything, like you said, there's questions that are really only useful or directed for core contributor and everyone. Do we want, for example, on the survey, so maybe send 2 surveys, one for core collaborator only with a full list of questions or a different set of questions, and also having the same survey being then posted publicly but directed to other people. That's the first point. And maybe also, even if we don't do that, maybe don't put multiple part like easy contribution of workflow, way of funding work, and just collapse everything that would be linked to core collaborator to support core collaborator work or optimize core collaborator work or works or something like that, just to have one line and not 5 different lines. Because I'm seeing also, I think there is security in 2 parts. You have security, good security and severe practices, and a well-maintained and secure standard library, which seems a bit close to me.
Yeah, I mean, like we're doing the collaborator survey so we can add some of those questions there. And yeah, for next year, we say, hey, we don't target collaborators.
Yeah.
Like not because it's not important, but because their opinion would be like it would be weird to have both, and like the data is not reliable, because like if I looked at this data, nobody cares about better ways to build consensus in the project, which is not true, because it's important for collaborators, but not for the like majority of people. So we want to target those specifically with another survey. Other than that, we have a well-maintained secure standard library. We have relevant APIs in core. We have consistent and intuitive error handling, easy installation. Like the only one that's surprising is this one. That I didn't expect a lot of people to care about the direction of the project.
Yeah, I think people like to know what are the new features that are coming and when, right? Like,
so I was going to say, if we take the answer that do have the most answers or response, consumer API and doc would be linked to the documentation on the question before that was on 5th position. If we go to relevant API in core, I'm guessing we can link that to latest ECMAScript features of functionalities. Like if we maybe could be interesting to do the matching between this question and the question just before, because I think it's showing that people want the same stuff basically, which is logical, but it's great to see that it's logical.
Let's have a look at the others.
Yeah, sounds good.
We have an expanded standard library, official package manager that fixes the problem with npm. Backward compatibility, long-term stability, better support for modern JS standards like TypeScript, built-in TypeScript, faster builds, compatibility, HTTP3, memory management, modern web API, TypeScript, performance, perform a lot of performance, quick support, TypeScript, and a lot of TypeScript. So yeah, nothing stands out from others. But yeah, TypeScript should be like data in the answer. So okay, should we move to
Yep.
next one? We have Q16. Regardless of how your code is written in its original form, when it runs in production, does it contain ES module syntax import export? 71% yes, 28% no.
I'm really surprised by this number.
Me too.
Like I would expect almost the opposite.
Yeah.
But, and I'm thinking from 2 weeks ago, didn't we add something close to 50% of people writing front-end application, meaning they use import as a default?
Yeah, that's true.
So in that case, it makes sense.
I don't know if we go back to the beginning, like it seemed like we had a lot of like our use cases. It was only more like 20% or something, right?
Yeah, I think most people were confused by the question. So because I expected that.
Yeah, like as any transpiled code, like TypeScript code would probably no longer have it.
Yeah.
Right?
Building static front-end application, only 8%.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
and deploying front-end application, 21%. So I think people misunderstood what we meant.
So that wouldn't give us 70%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's worth thinking about that though, like, and what was I'm trying to remember our motivation for that specific question in terms of, I guess it was trying to see like how many people are using ESM in their like at runtime, right?
Yep. But sorry, so my math will be wrong, but just to give an estimation. With the first question, we saw that 30% are basically front-end engineer using React or Next or something linked to that. That does provide an ecosystem with import as default because there is TypeScript. So technically, it would mean that here, 30% of the full answer that say yes are for front-end people. And then it would globally say that 2/3 of people, it still stay the same, close to that. Like 2/3 of the people, a bit less than 2/3, but 2/3 of the people on backend are using ESM. Which means it's 50-50 almost for, are you using ES module syntax for backend purpose? Close to 50-50.
Like, as usual, this survey is done by, like, there is a little bias with the surveys that like people who like usually are on social media and following the social media are also the ones who are more up to date, like with latest trends. They follow Node.js, they are informed with latest trends. So also means that like the ones that did not answer are probably like doing some like using more legacy features. They're not informed with the latest trends, etc. So like there is a huge slice of people who like I'm pretty sure that in reality the amount of people that use ESM in production varies like it's very small.
Yeah, I don't know if like, I don't think we're going to resolve it. I think we should highlight this as like, this stands out as an interesting point, like in terms of like unexpected result. And then we could figure out, I don't know what we would do. Like, what would we do differently, whether we think it's valid versus invalid, right?
Yeah, there is definitely interest in ESM, and like it should be one of the top priorities in Node. Like, and I think that's the thing that we should highlight rather than hey, 70% of people use ESM. I don't think that's true, but saying that for for who replied to the survey, ESM is very important. That's true.
I'm just thinking, do you think people that say yes are people that are using TypeScript with import and not running, and then with the transpilation and everything, it's not running ES module syntax in production, but it's building, and for them, they are seeing import export. So they say yes.
Could be, yeah.
And so then if we want to ask the same question next year, do we want to, like, it's hard to ask, hey, what's your TypeScript configuration? But
Or maybe just like add an answer. I like not sure.
or maybe we change.
And
If you are not using TypeScript and we specify not using TypeScript, are you using require or import, basically? That way we remove the people that are writing everything on TypeScript.
Maybe say in
Just
your
to have-
source code then.
Sorry,
Maybe say like if you're not using TypeScript, what you're using your source code or the destination code. I don't know, but I think you go the other way around. Then.
yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's, even if we got it wrong, it's interesting that that many people think that they are. So, but yeah, I think next year we should definitely try and clarify the question so that we have a better, what I took in the notes is we're not totally convinced we asked the question in a way that got accurate results, right? Is kind of what I pick up. Maybe we should move on to the next one just because.
Yeah, this one is like Q17, not the best question. For those of you wishing to use ESM in an existing application, what have been the pain points or blockers preventing you from doing so, if any? Skipped by 2,100 people and only 800 replies, so we probably
Even
should
so,
avoid
like
this.
in those write-in, I think it'd be interesting to know, is there a trend? Like, can we look at those and say like, well, 800 of them said this one, right? Or was it all different things, or that's where I'd be interested.
Let's have a look. So we have dir name and file name. File name and dir name could not require ESM. TypeScript support for ESM is bad. Frameworks are not ready. Just legacy dependencies. We have top level await, dir name. Type module should be default. Difference between import and require. Like this is quite technical as an answer. I think
I think what we just like the interesting one is like, it's interesting to read through, which we can each do, but then separately, like, I think I remember dir name and file name was quite a common one, right?
Yes.
So like, go ahead.
No, I was going to say the first part that for me is nice, or I don't know, nice, or if people didn't want to spend time on that, is technically only 900 people had issue with ESM in existing application because 2200 skip the question.
Yeah, you can interpret it as that way, right? Like either they don't use ESM, or they're not angry enough to write something in, which is, but like the dir name and file name, for some reason I thought there's actually like an answer to that now. And so like that would be a good one to if that's true, it would be like, okay, there's a message that we need to maybe help get out there more, right? Like it's, hey, one of the things would be like somebody writes more articles on how you use the alternatives when you're using ESM, right?
A lot of people said types. Like, I think the loaders evolved a lot lately. So we have like detect module that fixes a lot of this problem. We have module type module by default. We have TypeScript. Like, so like it would be interesting to see next year how the results changed.
Yeah, and I think, but I think this year even it would be good to like, if we went through and said, here's the top 5 things, and in fact, there's actually things that address those, like then making sure there's good content for the ambassador program. Like here's 5 messages that from the survey people were struggling with, content that covers on how to deal with those would actually be useful, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
We have 7 minutes
interoperability.
left. Do we want to go through the last 5 questions?
Yeah. Let's go Q18. Have you encountered any issue writing TypeScript where the production code used yes module? If so, please include as much detail as possible, such as text stack. Let's see. This also was skipped a lot. We have 18. We have TS prefers no extension in imports. This is still a big problem even for our TypeScript support.
This might invalidate, Jean, your one on the last question, because like we had 2,000 responded, which implies 2,000, these 2,000 people use TypeScript with ES. So maybe like, but you could take it back to like, well, 1,200 people didn't really have problems with ES support on its own, but when you mixed in TypeScript, they did, right? And yeah, interesting.
Yeah.
A lot of people just answered no. I don't use TypeScript. Someone wrote very, very lengthy answers.
Again, the most interesting is kind of like, are there common ones that we see over and over again?
Yeah.
I don't like, from a first sight, I cannot see anything specific.
Okay.
Like there is a lot of like lengthy answers that require reading through them, and but yeah, like nothing crazy. Okay, should we move to Q19?
Sure.
We have, are you using the following experimental features of Node.js? We can see a lot of people are using .env, watch mode, async hooks, and Corpac. Let's see the numbers. Corpac, 28%. We have async hooks, 32%. Permission model, not many people. Single executable application, 12%. Startup net snapshot, 2%. Loaders, 16%. Network import, has been removed. WASI, 6%. VM modules, 8%. Watch mode, a lot, 39%. So that's good. WebSocket client, 21%. Trace events, 5%. .env, massive.
54.
Import attributes, 17%, which is also a lot. I did not expect.
Yeah.
That's cool. And other, we have, let's see, Q19. Experimental code coverage, frozen intrinsics, glob promises, FS promises API. I don't think it's like, it has been stable for years.
Is it experimental?
No.
No, okay, yeah.
I don't use experimental, import maps. I don't use experimental, known. I didn't know they existed. No source maps, require ESM, still on 20. Test coverage, yeah, nothing crazy.
Yeah.
But like this is insane.
Yeah.
54% .env. I've never
it's
used
good.
it.
It's cool information to see.
Yeah.
So
like network
yeah, this is
imports,
definitely
I think,
something.
Network imports, is that one that we were removing?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yes. I mean, 9% usage.
To be honest, I'm surprised by having even almost 200 people, 10% of people saying they are using that.
Yeah.
Yeah, like even like async hooks, it's like that's sort of a behind the scenes thing. It's like most people who are using them, I would almost guess them to be using them without knowing, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But even
Yeah,
like
no, it's interesting.
12% of people using single executable application, that's huge.
True.
Yeah, again, that's surprising that they're like, I can see there's a few people, but like that's a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is definitely interesting and something like core pack 28%. Like, yes, so we should probably check if that matches with the
yeah, true.
with the core pack usage from the previous one.
Mm.
All right, so we have 1 minute left.
Yep.
So I think we can do
Any
the question.
yeah, so are you using the following new stable features? Fetch. I think this one are old stable features. They're not really updated because like WebCrypt has been stable for a long time. Web streams have been stable for a long time. Fetch has been no, Fetch
is
has
20.
been stable
So
from 8.20.
I
Okay,
think
so
20.
yeah.
I think that's quite interesting. Like 87%. Anyway, this is I think an interesting, like, yep, some of the new stuff's being used for sure, right? And fair amount. I think that's good feedback to have.
All
And that
right.
was the end.
So yeah, we have one more question, which do you encounter any recurring issue when using No? I think we can do that on
Okay, we'll finish up next time.
Yeah, it's an open question. Do we have TSC meeting now or is it cancelled?
No, we canceled it.
Okay, so yeah.
Cool.
Okay, yeah, that's good. And so I think next time we can finish it up, and then sort of just as a final thing, I think we should sort of discuss is there anything we should action, like based on the feedback? Are there things that like stand out that say like, hey, we should make a new priority, or it'd be good to form a new team, or those kinds of things based on the data. So if everybody can kind of think about that between next time, we can dive into that brainstorm.
Cool. Yeah. Nice. Have a good day, everyone.
Okay. Talk to everybody later.
Bye-bye.
Thanks.